The remittance is too little. Are you mocking us? Suddenly, I was yelled at by my parents over a furious phone call. I was confused by my father's words. According to him, my sister was remitting $4,000 every month, while I was apparently mocking them by sending only 50 cents. That can't be true. I send $4,000 every month, I asserted. Huh? What are you talking about? It's your sister who sends $4,000. She's a model and earns a lot of money. Don't lie. Your sister is so capable, and you. My father grumbled. Then my mother, who took the phone from him, scolded me with an exasperated sigh. Just because you moved out, you're probably wasting money, right? Your sister is working hard and trying to make things easier for us. But you only think about yourself. You should learn from your sister who sends $4,000 every month. From a young age, my parents doted on my sister. I couldn't understand the true intention behind their words, and felt speechless with sadness. Why was it believed that I only sent 50 cents? While puzzled, I decided to stop all remittances as my parents had stated. My name is Rose. I am a 28-year-old employee at a food processing company. I have a sister, Alyssa, 5 years my junior. From childhood, Alyssa had well-defined features and looked like a doll. Her appearance was angelic, and passers-by would turn their heads to look at her. Adults would often praise her, saying how cute she was. Compared to her, I was quite plain, so the adults would chuckle and say, "Rose is just so ordinary." Moreover, my parents adored the cute Alyssa, hoping to make her a model or celebrity in the future. The difference in how my parents treated Alyssa and me has been clear since I was conscious. As a child, I wore hand-me-downs that were worn out, while Alyssa always received new clothes. Alyssa was allowed to take any lessons she wanted, while I couldn't even attend cram school. Alyssa, raised as the darling of the family, became increasingly selfish. Rose's things are my things. My things are also my things, she would say, and took all the stationery I liked. Whenever I said something, my parents invariably dismissed me, saying, "Rose, you're the older sister, so be patient." I was fed up with Alyssa's cunning ways, and our parents never scolded her. I was hurt by our parents' blatant attitudes, but resigned myself to it. As I approached upper elementary school, Alyssa started demanding her own room. Knowing she wouldn't listen if she threw a tantrum, my parents said, "From today, Rose, you sleep in the living room. Rose, you don't need a room because you have few clothes." I reluctantly spread my mattress in the living room to sleep. My grandparents in the portraits had passed away soon after Alyssa was born, but they had adored me when I was little. My grandfather, who named me, loved Rose. And since I was born in the spring when the roses were in full bloom, he named me Rose. As a child, I remember feeling warm and comfortable on my grandfather's lap. Rose, even if things are hard, they will eventually end. And happiness will bloom again like Rose, he used to say. I vaguely remembered such things. Even so, my parents' attitudes never changed, and I continued to live feeling out of place. My dream was to become a school nurse. And I told my parents I wanted to go to university, but they opposed it, saying, "We don't have the money, so work after high school graduation. You don't need education, and we still need a lot of money to take care of Alyssa. So you should cooperate for your sister." It was clearly not a situation where I could pursue further education. However, our family was not poor, just a very ordinary middle-class household. My parents were stingy with money for me because of Alyssa, so eventually, I attended a commercial high school, and Alyssa attended a prestigious women's university. After graduating from high school, I got a job at a small company and decided to move out. Ideally, I would have liked to live at home until marriage to save money. But I could see that staying at home would only continue the oppression. I rented a cheap studio apartment near my company. Living alone was more comfortable since my family home had not been a welcoming space. After graduating from university, Alyssa, who had received all my parents' hopes, lived at home and signed with a talent agency to work as a model. Apparently, she was scouted by her current agency while shopping with friends. My parents were overjoyed at Alyssa's entry into the entertainment industry and boasted about it to everyone they knew. One day, unusually, Alyssa contacted me, proposing to repay our parents for raising us. Now that both of us have grown up, we should make things easier for Dad and Mom. Let's be filial together from now on. Alyssa spoke cheerfully in a very good mood. I thought, Alyssa, who used to only think about herself, has grown up. So, I was thinking about what Dad and Mom need, and I guess money would be best. How about sending about $4,000 a month? $4,000? I was surprised at the higher amount than I expected. I thought, modeling work must be doing well. If both of us send money, I'm sure Dad and Mom will be really happy. Let's start sending money from this month. I felt a slight discomfort in her words, but our parents had debts from raising us. As they wanted to repay those debts quickly, I agreed. However, I didn't have much spare money either. I first dipped into my savings to send the $4,000. My monthly salary was $3,000. Even if I kept my living expenses to $1,000, I was still short $2,000. So, on my days off, I started working as a security guard at a construction site. The daily pay was decent, but standing outside all day was hard labor. Working outdoors was hot in the summer and cold in the winter. There were many hardships. Nevertheless, the construction workers, surprisingly kind, would buy me juice or snacks, saying, "You're a hard worker even though you're young." I also tried to reduce food expenses by cooking as much as possible and saving every penny. But it still wasn't enough. Is there any way to increase my income? That's it. I'll get a certification. I decided, and spent the free time at home, cutting back on sleep to study for certification. Work and study, my days passed hectically. Amid this busyness, I couldn't respond immediately to the numerous calls from my parents. "I'm sorry, I've been too busy with work to answer the phone." "What's wrong?" The first thing I heard when I finally got through was, "You really are heartless. Don't you have any gratitude for the parents who raised you?" My father yelled irritably over the phone, with my mother's agreeing voice in the background, "Yeah, that's right." I had no idea what they were talking about. "The remittance is too little." "Are you mocking us?" "What? Too little?" I was even more bewildered by my father's words. "Alyssa sends $4,000 every month, and you only send 50 cents? My father's voice grew louder. Startled, I responded quickly, "That's not true. I send $4,000 every month properly." "What are you talking about?" "It's Alyssa who sends $4,000. Alyssa is a model, so she earns a lot of money." "Don't lie. While your sister is doing well, you..." My father muttered complaints. Then, taking over the phone from him, my mother scolded me. "Rose, just because you moved out doesn't mean you should be wasting money, right? Alyssa is working hard to make things easier for us, and you only think about yourself. Learn from your sister who sends $4,000 every month." She reprimanded me with a deep sigh of exasperation. I thought, why? I didn't understand the true meaning behind my parents' words, and felt so sad that I was at a loss for words. Previously, Alyssa had suggested, "Since it's weird that the remittance comes under the daughter's name, let's unify the sender's name to Nicole." I later learned that Nicole was Alyssa's stage name. Unbeknownst to me, she was using my name, Rose, for the 50 cents remittances. My parents believed that Alyssa was sending them $4,000. Trusting only her statements, and they said to me, "Don't bother sending money if it's just a small change like 50 cents. And abruptly hung up the phone. My parents, who wouldn't listen to me, and Alyssa, who deceived me, left me feeling a mix of sadness and frustration. I spent the whole night restless, unable to sleep, disturbed by the unfairness. I decided to discuss whether to continue sending money with my friend Hillary, who works at a consulting firm and is a successful career woman. Known for her strong sense of justice and no-nonsense advice, Hillary has always been a reliable confidant. Fortunately, since her office was nearby, she took time out of her busy schedule to have lunch with me. It's rare for you to ask for advice. What's up? She looked at me with concern. Actually, I'm having trouble with my parents and sister. I hesitated a bit before starting to explain the situation over the phone. Hillary listened silently, nodding throughout, and then asked me about the reason for the remittances. Your parents are still in their 50s, right? They're young, do they really need so much money? She was also surprised at the monthly amount of $4,000. I was told by my sister that my parents have debts from our education expenses, and that we decided to make our parents' life easier and repay them by both of us sending money. Hillary looked skeptical and reassured me. But the university costs were mostly for Alyssa, right? If your father is an office employee, he should have a stable income. So you don't need to overexert yourself, Rose. It's strange that they suddenly need $4,000 every month, when they've been living normally up till now. And if they insist that you are sending only 50 cents, then stop remitting like they say. It won't cause any problems. Encouraged by Hillary's advice, I nodded in agreement. Rose, you're too good a person. Don't let your family take advantage of your kindness. Her words struck a chord. I thought, I wonder what kind of person I've been to my family. From now on, I need to stand by my own decisions. I made a promise to myself. 2 months after I stopped the remittances, my phone rang persistently. And it was Alyssa calling to demand remittances. "Oh, Rebecca, I've been calling all morning." "Answer your phone." "And that's terrible of you. We promised to ease our parents' burdens, so why did you stop sending money?" Alyssa ranted furiously. "It's tough over here too. The electricity and water bills are overdue, and we don't know when they'll be cut off." She claimed that life had become difficult for our parents since the remittances stopped. However, I knew that the remittances were being used for Alyssa's vanity and our parents' wasteful spending. Fortunately, Hillary, who has many connections due to her job, casually inquired with a friend who knew Alyssa's friends and found out the truth. When I heard your story, I thought it was strange. It seems Alyssa has been living luxuriously. She was even seen buying loads of cosmetics at the department store downtown. Casinos. It was absurd to sacrifice my well-being to support my family's irresponsible lifestyle. I know everything. I won't send any more money for such reasons. Dad is still working, so don't contact me ever again. I firmly refused. A week later, I heard from Alyssa. This time it was my parents calling. When they questioned Alyssa about the missing $4,000 remittances, she finally admitted that it was actually me who had been sending the money. "I have no money, so don't rely on me," she revealed reluctantly. Alyssa had been telling our parents that she was earning well as a model. But in reality, she wasn't earning much and had become a burden to the talent agency. The only jobs she got were occasional gigs as a catalog model for a cheap mail order site, and even those paid little. Her lack of singing or dancing talent and charm meant she had no real skills to succeed in the entertainment industry. When this was revealed, my sister was scolded severely by our parents. "We've scolded Alyssa harshly. You just keep sending us money like you used to." Of course, there was no apology for calling me a liar. "As expected, you are reliable. Prepare and send the money for last month and this month as soon as you can." My parents, now demanding past remittances, showed their true greedy nature. "Alyssa mentioned before that we have debts for our education expenses, right?" Out of sudden curiosity, I asked. "There's no debt. Your education was paid for with the money left by your grandparents," my father answered bluntly. It turned out that Alyssa's claim about having debts and needing remittances was a lie. "Well, we need a bit of money for shopping," my mother responded insincerely. Knowing that my parents could live comfortably without remittances, I was certain there was no need to send them money. "If Alyssa works properly, Dad's salary should be enough," I concluded. In response to my firm attitude, my father turned away in a huff, saying, "You can be so cold to the parents who raised you. You're no daughter of mine anymore. Really, you're not family." My mother looked incredulous as my parents expressed their dissatisfaction. They continued, "If that's the case, we'll cancel the savings account set up with the money your grandparents gave for your wedding expenses. You're a stranger to us now. Fine. Use that money however you want, Dad and Mom. But in return, leave me out of your lives." I decided I was done being manipulated by my parents and Alyssa. Alone, tears started to flow. I thought, how much has my family used me to their convenience? 2 months later, the intercom buzzed insistently. To my astonishment, it was my parents and Alyssa coming to my place. Filled with a desire to have nothing to do with them, I still went outside to hear them out. I was shocked to see the disheveled state of my parents and Alyssa. And they were equally surprised to see me. "You seem different." Alyssa and my parents, puzzled by my improved appearance and finer attire, asked me why. Since our last encounter, I had diligently continued my studies and earned a small business consultant certification. With Hillary's introduction, I had changed jobs, which, along with the certification, had increased my income. I'm now a team leader at my new job. It's very busy every day, and since my home is far from work, I decided to move to a newly built apartment. I stated this matter-of-factly. Then, one after another, they made selfish remarks. "If you can afford it, help us out. We're family, we should help each other when in trouble. Give us some money." Knowing I had money, my parents and Alyssa clamored for it. As I listened, Alyssa mentioned that modeling had become difficult. "The modeling industry is tough. It's also ephemeral," she said, almost crying. The glamorous aura she once had was gone. Struggling in her work, Alyssa had been approached by another talent agency promising she could become an actress. She decided to take the chance with my parents' help, borrowing money to transfer to the new agency. A high membership fee was required. And my father had even paid his early retirement severance pay. But it turned out to be a scam. Once they paid, the agency's manager disappeared and all contact was lost. I was appalled at their carelessness for signing a contract without proper documentation. You shouldn't be here. You should go to the police right away, I urged as a loan shark appeared. Are you related to them? It seemed we had been followed. I learned that my parents and sister had borrowed a large sum from loan sharks, believing acting would bring in a fortune. Furthermore, Alyssa was venting her frustrations about her unsuccessful entertainment career at nightclubs. Her money was gone. My parents also gambled on casinos, hoping for a quick fortune, and ended up penniless. I felt no sympathy for their impulsive actions. When asked by the loan shark about our relationship, I stated firmly, "They are strangers. I have absolutely no connection with these people," and walked away. Later, my parents filed for bankruptcy to handle their debts. They had to sell their house and moved into a dilapidated apartment building over 60 years old. Both registered with a temporary staffing agency to scrape together a living. My father's next job was as a security guard at the construction site where I used to work. I hope we can get along from today. Oh my, a middle-aged man, huh? Nice to meet you. We used to have a young girl working hard here because she needed to send money home. Nowadays, parents making their daughters work security to send money home. Some parents are just monstrous. My father's face contorted. And Alyssa, having given up on modeling, dove into the nightlife world but was quickly fired from clubs and lounges due to her selfish nature, eventually eking out a living at a rundown snack bar. Her drinking increased, and her appearance drastically changed. Customers at the snack bar joked that her being a model was an urban legend. A model? Dream on. You look more like you belong in a wrestling ring than on a runway. I have cut ties with my parents and sister and am living freely. 5 years later, I attended Hillary's wedding. The ceremony was held at a chapel overlooking the sea in Hawaii. Blue sea, blue sky, an atmosphere of freedom. Next to Hillary was her husband, a man of good build and gentle demeanor, with a new life growing inside her. Hillary, who seemed focused solely on her career, had apparently fallen in love with a colleague and gotten married. I'm the type who gets what I want, but I cut off what I don't need. So, Rose, be true to yourself. Hillary laughed cheerfully, and her husband next to her chuckled softly. Don't abandon me. Hillary, thank you for everything. I wish you happiness always. I returned the sentiment with the brightest smile. Celebrating at Hillary's wedding, which had set me free, I expressed my gratitude once again. As the emotional ceremony neared its end, a man breathlessly arrived late. He seemed to be a friend of the bride and groom. Later, Hillary introduced me to this man named Samuel, nicknamed Sam by everyone. He was tall, healthy-looking, with a refreshing smile, and ran his own architectural firm. I really wanted you to meet him, Hillary said with a mischievous grin. Caught up, Sam and I laughed together and found common ground, planning to go out for drinks together. It felt like roses were about to bloom. I had decided to pursue both love and my career, to walk my own path in life. Grandpa, are you watching over me from heaven? I will make my own flowers bloom.